There are Friends episodes that should not exist. This Iceberg exposes the not-so-wholesome and friendly moments from Friends that get more disturbing as we go down each layer. Rachel hires Tag because he's attractive. Rachel had a choice for hiring an assistant: qualified Hilda or Tag, who had about as much experience as a mannequin at a tie store. And guess who gets the job? Tag, the guy who looks good in a suit. It's not exactly a shining example of workplace professionalism, but it sure did make for some classic Central Perk gossip fodder. Rachel, struck by Cupid's arrow or maybe just dazzled by Tag's hair, decides that Tag's the right man for the job.
Yeah, you got the job. You're my new assistant.
I am.
Forget about spreadsheets, it's those cheekbones that'll rarely keep the office running smoothly, right? This decision kicks off an adventure that's one part rom-com, one part what were you thinking? Fast forward a bit and Rachel and Tag are an item. But here's where it gets complicated. To keep all the other women in the office from flirting with her new boy toy, Rachel spreads the word that Tag is gay.
What's his story? Is he
Gay? Yeah.
Because in sitcom land, that's how you solve problems. It's like marking your territory, but instead of a beware of dog sign, you use a rumor. The relationship between Rachel and Tag is a roller coaster of office romance cliches. There are secret kisses stolen in between filing documents and those sneaky "we're totally not dating" looks across the office. But as with all things in sitcoms, it comes to an end. Rachel breaks it off with Tag on her 30th birthday, realizing that while he might be easy on the eyes, he's a little too light on life experience for her taste.
But you're just a kid. You're...
It's a classic Friends mix of funny moments, questionable decisions, and the kind of office drama that HR departments have nightmares about. Hiring based on looks? Check. Spreading false rumors to ward off potential rivals? Double check. When Ross couldn't handle having a male nanny, Rachel finds the super qualified guy for the job, played by none other than Freddie Prinze Jr., who's basically the Mary Poppins of nannies. But with a twist, he's a guy. From the get-go, Ross is throwing shade left and right.
Are you gay?
Ross!
Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character Sandy is all about being in touch with his feelings, loving art, and just spreading good vibes all round. But Ross? He sees a man caring for kids, and suddenly it's like his brain short-circuits. Ross starts poking fun at the nanny's sensitivity, his interests, and basically everything about him that doesn't fit into Ross's old-school box of what a man should be. One specific moment that really highlights the absurdity is when Ross interrogates Sandy about his career choice. Sandy, ever the saint, explains his genuine love for caring for children, his passion for nurturing their growth, basically all the reasons he's perfect for the job. And Ross? He's just stuck on repeat, unable to move past his own biases. Then there's the scene where Ross finds Sandy and Joey having a heart-to-heart, bonding over their emotions. Sandy's ability to create a safe space for expressing feelings is like discovering a new color, but for Ross, it's more like a glitch in the Matrix. In the end, the male nanny plotline serves up a cocktail of stereotypes and missed opportunities for some real character growth. It's one of those storylines that, when you look back, you can't help but think, maybe this one should have been left in the 90s script bin. Monica's cornrows. Monica and the gang are on this vacation in Barbados and the humidity's doing a number on her hair, so she decides the solution is to get cornrows, complete with beads. The disastrous end result is Monica showing off her new hairstyle, thinking she's just solved every bad hair day in history. But here's where things get a bit iffy. The show, trying to land a joke, ends up steering into some murky waters involving cultural appropriation. Cornrows are a traditional African hairstyle with deep cultural and historical significance, and Monica's decision to adopt them as a quick fix for her frizzy hair comes off as tone-deaf. Throughout the episode, the cornrows are played for laughs, from the beads clicking while she's trying to be romantic with Chandler, to her complaining about the tightness of the braids. It's meant to be funny, but it misses the mark by a wide margin, turning a culturally significant hairstyle into the butt of a joke. It's just Monica, oblivious to the implications, wandering through the episode with her beads clicking away. It's a stark reminder of the 90s sitcom approach to humor, where cultural sensitivity sometimes took a backseat to landing a punchline. In the grand scheme of Friends, this moment stands out as one of those yikes points in the show's run. It's a classic example of a joke that hasn't aged well. So while we all love the gang for their quirks and comedic timing, this particular episode is a bit like finding a raisin in your chocolate chip cookie. Unexpected, and not exactly what you signed up for. When the boys turn women into objects. Ross kicks things off with a question that's more philosophical than his usual dinosaur chat. What if there's only one woman for everybody? It's a moment that could have opened the door to an introspective look at love. Instead, it quickly veers off course when Joey, ever the metaphor enthusiast, compares women to ice cream flavors, suggesting Ross just needs to grab a spoon. Yep, you heard right. In Joey's world, finding love is akin to perusing the frozen aisle where women are just different flavors waiting to be sampled. Now, Joey's analogy might have been intended to lighten the mood or offer some kind of comfort to Ross.
What are you talking about? One woman. That's like saying there's only one flavor of ice cream for you.
Comparing women to ice cream not only misses the mark on human relationships, but reduces them to objects of consumption, something to be picked based on flavor of the month. It's a cringeworthy comparison that strips away individuality and autonomy, serving up a scoop of no thank you alongside a side of what were you thinking? This conversation, meant to be a quirky take on the guys' perspectives on dating, instead highlights a moment of tone deafness in the show's otherwise beloved run. It's a stark reminder that Friends, for all its humor and relatability, could sometimes slip into less savory territory, where the laughs come at the expense of a respectful portrayal of women. Chandler making fun of Fun Bobby for getting sober. Fun Bobby, known for being the life of the party, hint, it's in the name, comes to the realization that his fun side is heavily aided by his drinking. It's a moment of self-awareness that could have led to a powerful storyline about growth and support. Instead, when Bobby decides to get sober, the mood shifts, and not in the way you'd hope. Bobby's sobriety brings out a side of him that's less upbeat, which, let's face it, is pretty normal for anyone making such a significant life change. Enter Chandler, with his quick wit and knack for nicknames, who decides that ridiculously dull Bobby is a more fitting moniker for the new sober Bobby. It's a moment that aims for laughs, but lands in the territory of insensitivity. Sobriety isn't dull, it's brave, yet the show leans into this unfortunate angle, making light of a situation that deserved a bit more compassion. And Monica? Instead of providing unwavering support for Bobby's journey, she's roped into a narrative that suggests drinking around him might make him more bearable. This plot twist isn't just disappointing, it's a backward step for a show that often celebrated the victories, big and small, of its beloved characters. When Chandler was paranoid of people thinking he's gay. Chandler, the king of sarcasm, has this running gag where he's super touchy about his masculinity. It's like every time someone even hints at the idea he might not be straight, he flips into panic mode. It's just Chandler flapping around like he's just walked into a spiderweb trying to swat away any suggestion that he's gay. One standout moment is during the episode when Monica and Ross's Nana passes away. It's supposed to be a somber time, right? But there's Chandler finding out some folks assume he's gay, and suddenly it's DEFCON 1 in his world. He's more tangled up in clearing up his sexual orientation than mourning Nana's departure. It's like watching someone trying to untangle headphones while running a marathon. It's messy, and you can't help but wonder why they don't just let it go. Now let's not forget Chandler's mom, who's a glamorous, larger-than-life romance novelist. Her flamboyant lifestyle and close relationships with gay men somehow add to Chandler's sensitivity. It's as if Chandler thinks he has to defend his sexuality with a neon sign, all because his mom enjoys the company of the LGBTQ+ community and doesn't fit into a conventional box. The whole scenario is a cocktail of misunderstandings, insecurities, and, let's be honest, a hefty dose of homophobia. Every time Chandler jumps into defensive mode, it's played for laughs, like, haha, look at Chandler being all worried people think he's gay. But when you peel back the laughter track, it's kind of like finding a moldy layer in a cake. It leaves a taste in your mouth that's a bit off. In today's light, these jokes feel more cringe than comedic. So while Chandler's antics might have gotten laughs in the 90s, today they serve as a lesson in how not to address issues of sexuality and masculinity. Fat Monica. Taking the Thanksgiving flashback to prom night, viewed via an old videotape, Joey, never one to mince words, sees a younger, heavier Monica on screen and blurts out, "Some girl ate Monica."
Some girl ate Monica.
Bam. Just like that, Monica's weight becomes the punchline. The scene is just one example of how the show couldn't resist poking fun at Monica's past self, no matter the occasion. Then there's the dance scene. Young Monica alone in her room, grooving without a care in the world. Instead of celebrating her joy, the scene is framed to get a laugh at her expense because of her size. It sends a pretty clear message. Fun and self-expression are reserved for the slim. Friends didn't just stop at casual jokes. It built an entire narrative suggesting Monica's life impractically post-weight loss.
Hi, Chandler.
Oh my God.
What's the matter? Is there something on my dress?
Dude, you look so different. Terrific. That dress, that body. Dude, sorry.
It's as if the show was saying, look, she was unhappy and alone when she was overweight, but now she's successful and loved.
Yeah, it's interesting.
By comparing Monica's lack of romance success in her youth with her adult relationships, implying her worth and happiness are directly tied to her size. Even Monica's parents get in on the action, dropping not-so-subtle comments about her weight.
Even when you were a kid and you were chubby and you had no friends, you were just fine.
These moments are meant to be humorous but end up contributing to a larger problematic picture. Monica's achievements seem to shine brighter because she's no longer overweight, at least in the eyes of those around her. What we end up with is a character whose past is treated as a running joke. Fat Monica becomes a cautionary tale, warning viewers that happiness, success, and love are only attainable through weight loss. It's a narrative as outdated as Ross's leather pants fiasco, and frankly, it's a bit of a bummer. Looking back, Fat Monica stands as a glaring misstep in the Friends legacy, a reminder of the not-so-great ways the 90s dealt with body image. In today's world, where we're fighting for body positivity and self-love, these jokes feel kind of out of place, relics of a time when laughs came at the expense of inclusivity and kindness. The I Hate Rachel Club. Brad Pitt guest stars as Will, an old high school buddy of Ross. He's invited to Thanksgiving dinner, and surprise, surprise, he and Rachel used to go to school together too. But here's the twist. Will and Ross were part of a not-so-charming group called the I Hate Rachel Club. And yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. A club dedicated to disliking Rachel.
To you in high school.
Oh, it wasn't just me. We had a club.
You had a club?
That's right. The I Hate Rachel Green Club.
Whoa, my God. So what, you all just joined together to hate me? Who else was in this club?
Me and Ross.
No need to point. She knows who Ross is.
The reveal comes when Will, still holding on to that high school grudge like it's a precious heirloom, admits the club's existence. Not exactly the kind of club you'd put on your college application, right? The cringe factor cranks up when it's revealed that the club had one main mission: to spread a rumor that Rachel was, well, a hermaphrodite. Yikes.
Ross?
It's no big deal. We said that the rumor was that you had both male and female reproductive parts.
What?
That's right.
Universe, does this sound like a fun, light-hearted plot for a Thanksgiving episode? This whole scenario is problematic on so many levels. First, there's the idea that forming a club based on hating someone is just harmless high school fun. Then there's the spreading of cruel rumors as a form of entertainment. It's like the episode is trying to say, hey, remember those mean, baseless rumors from high school? Good times, right? Wrong. And let's not forget the cherry on top of this cringe sundae, the rumor itself. In aiming for laughs, the show instead dives headfirst into the pool of insensitivity, making light of gender identity issues in a way that's as outdated as Ross's keyboard tie. The reaction around the table as this all unfolds is a mix of shock, awkward laughs, and some attempts to condemn the past behavior, but the damage is done. The episode tries to wrap it up with a bow of forgiveness and moving on, but it leaves a lingering aftertaste that's hard to shake off. In the end, the I Hate Rachel Club episode stands out as a prime example of a storyline that might have seemed like quirky sitcom fodder at the time, but now screams for a do-over. It's a reminder that some jokes aren't just unfunny, they're unnecessary. Ross and Ben's girls' toys. Ross walks in, spots Ben having a grand old time with a Barbie, and his reaction is as if he just saw a dog meowing. Why is my boy playing with a Barbie? He wonders out loud, as if the very fabric of the universe is unraveling before his eyes. In Ross's world, toys are apparently still stuck in the 1950s, where boys are expected to stick to monster trucks and, I don't know, gnawing on blocks of wood for fun. But wait, it gets more facepalm worthy. Ross, in a leap of logic that would make Evil Knievel know that his ex-wife Carol and her partner Susan are to blame for his toy preference. Yep, in Ross's eyes, Ben's interest in a Barbie doll couldn't possibly be just because maybe Ben likes the doll. No, it must be some kind of gender agenda being pushed by Carol and Susan. The episode unfolds with Ross trying to correct this by subtly pushing like it's some kind of toy-based intervention. It's a storyline that misses the mark by a mile, turning what could have been a moment of understanding and acceptance into a cringe comedy of errors. This whole plot is a perfect storm of outdated gender stereotypes and Ross's own insecurities. In today's world, where we're more aware of the importance of letting kids explore their interests freely, this episode feels like a relic from a less enlightened time. On the other, there's his battle with society's labels and expectations. The next level is truly going to make you question, how did the show continue to get away with all of these plot lines? But before we get there, don't forget to hit subscribe and never miss an update. Ross, creeping on Rachel in the comfort of her own apartment, decides it's a good time for a little freedom dance. You know, the kind where clothes are optional. It's her space, her time, and she's feeling fine. Enter Ross, who happens to catch a glimpse of Rachel in her all-natural state through the window. And what does our paleontologist pal deduce from the situation? That Rachel's nakedness is somehow a secret signal, a beacon calling him over for some romantic rendezvous. Pause for a collective eye roll. Ross, armed with his wild interpretation, decides it's his cue to make a move. Let's just say it's not his brightest moment. Instead of considering, I don't know, a myriad of reasons someone might be naked in their own apartment that don't involve him, Ross jumps to conclusions faster than Joey jumps at a sandwich. This moment is as facepalm worthy as they come. Instead of showcasing Ross's often celebrated sensitivity, we get a glimpse of Ross that's, well, a bit creepy. It's a stark reminder that even our beloved sitcoms can sometimes slip into territory that's more eek than ah. So while we'll always have a soft spot for the shenanigans of our favorite New York Six, this particular Ross moment is one we might just want to leave in the vault. Chandler's dad. Chandler's dad, who should be identified as a transgender woman, not simply as a drag queen as often implied by the show's characters, has a rocky relationship with his son. This distinction is crucial, yet the show blurs these lines, leading us to a slew of moments that have aged as well as a milk carton left out in the sun. Chandler's dad isn't just any character, he's a Las Vegas drag queen, lighting up stages and living his best life in a way that's bold, unapologetic, and totally fabulous. But for Chandler, this part of his dad's life is like a neon sign he can't turn off, especially when it comes to how he thinks others see him. First off, let's talk about Charles's introduction. Chandler's reaction to seeing his parent perform in Las Vegas is less pride, more cringe. "There's Daddy," he quips sarcastically. It's a moment that feels more like a jab than a joke, playing into a narrative that reduces Charles's identity to a punchline.
Oh my God. What? That's Mr. Garibaldi playing the piano.
Then there's the interaction between Nora, Chandler's mom, and Charles. Nora's comment, "Don't you have a little too much penis to be wearing a dress like that?" is as crass as it is cruel, blatantly disrespecting Charles's gender expression.
Don't you have a little too much penis to be wearing a dress like that?
It's a line that crosses from comedy into outright offense, showcasing a misunderstanding and mockery of transgender identity rather than offering any semblance of respectful representation.
Away from Chandler's mom.
Yeah, but I don't know what he looks like.
He is the man in the black dress.
Man, I'm Rachel. I'm a friend of Monica and Chandler's.
I'm Amanda.
Oh, I get it. Man, duh.
Ross lying to Rachel about annulling their marriage. Ross, in a moment that could only be described as a brain glitch, decides to not annul his drunken marriage to Rachel after their spontaneous Vegas wedding. Ross, in his infinite wisdom, thinks it's a solid plan to just not tell Rachel about this little decision of his, because in the world of Ross Geller, what Rachel doesn't know can't hurt her, right? Wrong. But Ross doesn't stop there. Oh no. He takes his train wreck of a plan a step further by trying to woo Rachel into moving in with
I
him.
think she may want to start things up again.
Yeah, I don't think that's what it is.
The idea? That she'll magically fall back in love with him and be over the moon about still being married to him once she finds out. The whole saga unfolds with Ross weaving his tangled web of lies, all the while pretending to be on board with annulling their marriage. It's a storyline that has us yelling at the screen, "Ross, buddy, what are you doing?" This moment in Friends is cringy at best and downright infuriating at worst. It paints Ross in a light that's less lovable nerd and more guy who seriously needs a reality check. The fact that he thought deceiving Rachel was a good foundation for their relationship is as bewildering as Joey's attempt at speaking French.
Je découpe plow.
In the grand scheme of Friends, this plotline sticks out as a stark reminder that even our favorite characters can make decisions that leave us scratching our heads. It serves as a lesson in what not to do, not just in relationships, but in life in general. Monica dating Richard and then kissing his son. Monica dates Richard, who's not just a bit older, but also a close friend of her parents. Yep, this is the same Richard who's seen Monica grow up, the same Richard who's been to her family's Thanksgiving dinners, and yes, the very same Richard who Monica used to, let's say, make a splash in his pool as a kid. If that doesn't already have you raising an eyebrow, hold on, because this roller coaster has another loop. Then, after navigating the ups and downs of their relationship, including discussions about having children and marriage, Monica and Richard call it quits. It's an emotional roller coaster that leaves viewers and characters alike thinking this chapter is firmly closed. You'd think that's where the story ends, right? But no, Friends decides to throw us a curveball. Enter stage left, Richard's son, Timothy. And what does Monica do? She ends up kissing him. The kiss itself, described by Monica as reminiscent of kissing her own brother, seals the deal on the awkwardness scale, making viewers squirm in their seats. From dating the dad to kissing the son, Monica's love life suddenly feels more like a plot out of a daytime soap opera than a Thursday night sitcom. The whole saga unfolds with the kind of awkwardness you'd expect from a family dinner where everyone knows what you did last summer. The show plays these moments for laugh, but let's be real, it's a bit weird. It's one thing to date someone older, but it's a whole other level to then move on to his son. When Ross became an obsessive and controlling boyfriend.
What? Why are you looking at me like that?
Ross spirals into an obsessive and controlling boyfriend when Rachel starts her job at Bloomingdale's and befriends her co-worker, Mark. From the get-go, Ross's green-eyed monster doesn't just peek out, it roars. Mark, who shares Rachel's passion for fashion, is introduced as nothing more than a friendly colleague. But in Ross's eyes, Mark is the villain of a story that exists only in his head. Ross becomes so wrapped up in his jealousy that he can't see straight, convinced that Rachel and Mark are having an affair despite the lack of any real evidence. It's like watching a car crash in slow motion. Ross's jealousy escalates to the point where he sends a barbershop quartet to Rachel's office to mark his territory, because nothing says healthy relationship like public embarrassment, right? And let's not forget the incessant drop-ins at her workplace. Ross's inability to trust Rachel turns him into the boyfriend version of a helicopter, hovering so close that he practically needs air traffic control. But the crowning moment of cringe comes when Rachel, in a bid to assert her independence and set boundaries, tells Ross that she needs her work life and love life to be separate. Ross's response? A masterclass in missing the point. Instead of listening, he doubles down, making Rachel's life even more challenging. It's as if he's trying to win an award for how not to support your partner, when there were only 2 people of color in the show. The series did give us characters like Julie, who Ross dates after his first breakup with Rachel.
Oh, hi. Yeah, hold on a second. Ross, Julie, for you?
And Dr. Charlie Wheeler, another of Ross's love interests, who appears later in the series. Julie brought a touch of diversity as an Asian character, and Dr. Wheeler did the same as a black character. But here's the thing. In a show that spanned a decade and prided itself on exploring the lives of 6 friends living in one of the most culturally diverse cities in the world, having just 2 significant characters of color feels like a drop in the ocean. Julie and Dr. Wheeler were great additions to the show, no doubt. Julie, with her kindness and intelligence, brought out a different side of Ross, And Dr. Wheeler, with her brilliance and confidence, added new dynamics to the group's interactions. But their roles in the series underscore a bigger issue. They were exceptions in a sea of sameness, brief nods to diversity in a show that otherwise leaned heavily on a predominantly white cast and guest stars. This isn't just about counting characters or ticking boxes, it's about reflecting the reality of New York City, a vibrant melting pot of cultures, races, and stories. Friends has been criticized for creating a somewhat sanitized version of the city, one where the diversity that makes New York, well, New York, was conspicuously absent from the main narrative with a glaringly all-white cast. When Ross dated one of his students. Ross discovers an anonymous letter in a class survey, revealing a student has a crush on him. Instead of navigating this delicate situation with the professionalism you'd expect from a university lecturer, Ross sees it as a green light to pursue a relationship with Elizabeth, the student behind the letter. It's a decision that screams bad idea in neon lights, yet Ross, in his infinite wisdom, decides to go for it. Ross's justification? He believes that dating a student is merely frowned upon rather than outright forbidden. The reality check comes crashing down when he's informed that his little romance could actually cost him his job. But does that stop our intrepid professor? Nope. Ross and Elizabeth decide to keep their relationship a secret from the faculty, embarking on a sneaky love affair that's more high school than higher education. The entire saga is a whirlwind of poor choices and facepalm moments. It's like Ross picked up the rulebook, shrugged, and tossed it over his shoulder when Rachel and Joey got together. Rachel and Joey's fling in Friends felt like we accidentally wandered into an alternate sitcom universe. For starters, Joey's feelings for Rachel begin to surface while she's living with him, pregnant with Ross's baby. Joey, bless his heart, tries to navigate his newfound feelings with the grace of a sitcom character, which is to say, not much grace at all. Then there's the kiss. After a series of typical Friends misunderstandings and comedic mishaps, Joey and Rachel share their first kiss, which should be a big moment. Instead, it feels awkward. This isn't the swoon-worthy romance we're used to. It's more like watching two best friends try to force a spark that just isn't there. The nail in the coffin for this storyline's believability was how both characters themselves seem to acknowledge the oddness of their pairing. When Joey and Rachel finally decide to take their relationship to the next level, they find they can't quite connect. It's as if the writers themselves realize that some chemistry, no matter how hard you try, can't be forced. Their relationship, built on a strong foundation of friendship, just couldn't make the leap to romance without feeling contrived. We can't forget about Ross freaking out about Joey and Rachel as well. Now, Ross, who's had his fair share of ups and downs with Rachel, including but not limited to a break, a marriage, and a baby, reacts like someone just told him that dinosaurs are coming back. He gets mad at Joey for having feelings for Rachel. Yes, Ross, the same Ross who's dated other women, declared his love for Rachel at an airport and has an on-off relationship switch stuck in limbo, decides he's got a say in who Rachel dates next. When Ross and Joey are excited to hang out with Janine's drunk dancer friends. Ross and Joey were practically bouncing off the walls with excitement about hanging out with Janine's dancer friends, who, by the way, were going to be quite drunk at Thanksgiving. Janine, Joey's roommate and a dancer herself, invites Joey and Ross to have dinner with her friends.
Well, me and my dancer friends are thinking of doing Thanksgiving uptown. I thought you guys might like to come.
For real?
Enter Ross and Joey, who see this as an opportunity for, well, it's not exactly clear, but their eagerness paints a picture. The show pitches this as comedy gold, two sober guys thinking they've hit the social jackpot by spending time with a group of drunk women. Let's not forget this is Friends, a show that's given us iconic moments of humor, heart, and the occasional ugly naked guy. But this plotline, it leaves a sour taste in your mouth. Paolo assaulting Phoebe. Remember that scene where Paolo decides that making a move means an uninvited grab at Phoebe's rear, followed by an unwelcome and quite frankly shocking display of his, well, let's just say, his less public assets? The storyline, folks, was supposed to be a bit of a comedic drama in the lives of our favorite New York Six. But here's the thing. It landed more like a lead balloon at a party, turning what could have been a moment of character development into a cringe-worthy misfire. Paolo, up until his handsy hello with Phoebe, was the smooth-talking, espresso-drinking Italian stallion who had us all believing in the allure of overseas romance. But then, bam, he turns the charm dial way past appropriate, entering the realm of did he really just do that? Yes, he did. The kicker? The show rolls this out with a laugh track in the background, as if Paolo's actions are just another quirky mishap in the Friends universe. It's like the writer's room decided that respect and boundaries were optional extras for that episode. Once Phoebe spills the beans, the mood shifts from sitcom to series, but the initial handling of the situation leaves us wondering, what were they thinking? When Ross wanted to sleep with his cousin. Ross's cousin Cassie comes to town, and Ross finds himself in a situation that's more ew than ah. Cassie, portrayed as stunningly beautiful, arrives in New York, turning heads and inadvertently stirring up some, questionable feelings in Ross. Now, Ross Geller has had his share of romantic misadventures. 3 divorces, a whirlwind Vegas wedding, and the whole "we were on a break" saga. But this takes the cake, and then drops it on the floor. The episode takes us through a series of awkward and cringe-worthy moments, from Ross trying and failing to divert his eyes from Cassie, to an almost slapstick-level attempt to maintain normalcy in her presence. The pinnacle of this ill-conceived plotline is when Ross, seemingly entranced by Cassie's hair flicking in the moonlight, contemplates making a move on his literal cousin. The show takes us to the brink of an unthinkable Ross decision, only to have Cassie herself hold any advance by voicing how uncomfortable she feels, thankfully bringing Ross back to his senses. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion. You want to look away, but the absurdity keeps you glued to the screen. And let's not forget the reactions of the other friends. Instead of the expected, "Ross, that's your cousin," we get a mix of disbelief, awkward jokes, and some seriously questionable advice. It's as if the gravity of the situation doesn't quite register, leaving us to navigate this bizarre storyline without a moral compass. So while we continue to cherish the memories, laughs, and iconic moments Friends has given us, we can also acknowledge that these particular moments might be ones we'd rather forget. If you're still looking for more icebergs to lose yourself in, we've got you covered. Just click right here and enjoy the rest of your time.